Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for coming. These are two tough acts to follow after Liz and Max here. They were great. Liz gave a great talk about civil disobedience and the history of civil disobedience and why it's important for everybody to get involved. And then Max with the perfect follow-up to her speech, defining what rights are and why it's important for everybody to exercise their rights. So I don't know how I'm going to follow those two because that's going to be tough. My name is Robert Fernandez. Fernandez, correct. And I basically started Lemonade Freedom Day last year.
Woo!
Yeah. And the reason why is I noticed, well, one day I was looking on the internet and I saw an incident of a couple of girls in Georgia that they had their lemonade stand shut down for not having permits or licenses. And I thought it was just, this one-off thing, it was just this rare thing that, what's going on with that? So I started doing some more Google searching and I found out that there were a lot more incidences of this than I thought. And I said, this is nuts, and I said, we have to do something about this. So I just came up with an idea, and my idea at the time was to just encourage everybody to go out there and open up a lemonade stand. And my vision in my mind, while I was working this all through was to see as many, when you drive down the street, you see lemonade stands on every corner that day. That was my vision that day, And it ended up being a really big event. It got nationwide media coverage. It was all over the place, and it was, beyond my wildest dreams, as big as it got. I just couldn't have ever imagined it. And all I did was, go through Facebook and send it to friends, and I started looking up different news like Fox and CNN and finding their email address, and I would submit it to them, and that's how the word spread. Just something so simple like that. But I'd like to take a step back actually now, even further before Lemonade Freedom Day, even further back to my teenage years and when I was younger. I was always a very rebellious teenager. I always looked at things and I always questioned everything, and I grew up in a very Catholic family, and I was always told not to question things, and I'm not allowed to question things. And then I need to respect authority, and I need to just sit back and conform to the way things are in life, and go with the flow with things, and stop being such a troublemaker. But it was hard for me to do that. I couldn't do that. For some reason, I knew something was wrong with the way things were around me, but I never was able to pinpoint exactly what the problem was. And because I had all of this contradictory stuff going on in my head, I kind of turned into somebody that I wasn't. I kind of tried to conform, and I tried to be the person that everybody wanted me to be. But it was difficult. I ended up getting in a lot of trouble when I was younger, and it was all because of this, because I had no guidance as far as dealing with my questions, and dealing with my curiosity, and dealing with my rebellious nature. So I basically ended up being somebody that I really wasn't. And then moving forward a little bit to, not too long ago, one day I was watching TV, and I heard this elderly gentleman speaking on TV about, just exactly about what, Max was just up here talking about rights and what rights are and why it's important to fight for the rights and individual rights and freedom and liberty and, minding your own business and leaving people alone and things like that. And this gentleman was Ron Paul. That's the first person I connected with. So here you have this elderly man, and I'm this fairly young guy at the time, and I'm listening to this guy, and I'm saying, wow, I can really relate to this guy. And how odd is it, with the age gap and everything, that I'm sitting here saying this guy makes a lot of sense. So basically, I got really involved in the Ron Paul campaign, and I was out there talking to people and campaigning and trying to convince people to vote for him and things like that. And also the other important part about Ron Paul that opened my mind up is that he encouraged me to think, and he encouraged me to go out and educate myself. And that's what I did. I started educating myself. I started looking for answers. if I would be on the internet 24/7 searching for answers to things and what's going on. And one of the things that I came across in my search for answers was the non-aggression principle. For those of you who don't know what the non-aggression principle is, it's really simple. It's basically just you don't initiate foresight. You treat others like you want to be treated. You don't harm others who have not harmed you. It's such a simple concept that, as Max again, commented on before, little kids understand concepts like this, And for some reason, as we go through our life, we somehow forget these simple concepts, and things start to get complicated. I used to look at political issues as like these complicated things and financial things. You have all these financial experts and they're talking all these things and you don't know what the heck they're talking about. And I don't know what the heck they're talking about. And it's all nonsense because it's all very simple and it comes down to exactly what Max brought up, which is property rights. It's property rights and your rights and exercising your rights. And that's what, everything comes down to that. But the non-aggression principle is the core. It's the core. And once I started learning about the non-aggression principle, that's when I really started opening my mind and started understanding the world a lot better and started looking at things a lot better. I became a better parent after learning the non-aggression principle. I became a better husband after learning the non-aggression principle. I became a better father after learning the non-aggression principle. I became a better employee. Everything in my life I became better at after starting to learn and understand the non-aggression principle. But it's still at that point, I knew about the non-aggression principle, and I believed in it, and I understood it. However, I wasn't really living it. So I started watching YouTube videos of people all across the country. Some of the people, are here or will be here. Derek J, Eddie Free. There's Pete Aaron who will be here later. Ademo, who's actually in jail right now for a similar, non-violent victimless crime. There's Ian Freeman, James Babb, George Donnelly. These are all people that you've probably never heard of before. But these people are all people who I was watching from the comfort of my own home. And these people were out there videotaping every interaction they had with officials, with police officers, with bureaucrats. And they were living the life. They were walking the walk. They weren't just talking the non-aggression principle. They were acting it out. They were living it. So that's where it brought me. That's where I started looking at the non-aggression principle and turning my life and saying I have to live this way. I ended up going to PorcFest last year, and I ended up meeting a lot of them there, and I ended up being around them and talking to them and having these great philosophical discussions that go on at PorcFest. And it's not a coincidence that the first Lemonade Freedom Day last year was only a few months after PorcFest. I went there, and I became so motivated by seeing these people that are out there living the life every single day of their life. And they're putting 100% into this. And they're living by the principles of non-aggression, the non-violent peaceful compliance. And they're doing this every single day of their life. And I was so motivated. I came back, and the first thing I said when I saw this case of lemonade stands being shut down is, I'm gonna do something too. Because I saw these people, and these people were normal, everyday people, like you and me and everybody else, and kind of walk around with our minds in a fog all the time, and we see problems that are going on, and we don't do anything about it. Well, these people were doing something about it. And by seeing them do something about it is what made me do something about it. Sorry, I just had a question. What is PorcFest? PorcFest is basically basically probably the biggest freedom gathering in the United States, if not the world. In New Hampshire, it's once a year. It's to promote something that's called the Free State Project, which is a plan to get, I believe, 20,000 activists, freedom-minded activists, to move to New Hampshire. And the PorcFest is basically a promotional thing. But people go there just for the freedom that's there to begin with, anyway.